Half steps are easy to identify on a keyboard. Half steps are neighboring keys. So, C and C sharp are neighboring keys because there's no key in between C and C sharp. This makes them a half step. Half steps are also easy to identify when you hear them. Here is what C to C sharp sounds like. C and C sharp are very close sounding notes because they're the closest two notes can be on a keyboard. Another instance of a half step occurs between G and F sharp. This is what a descending half step sounds like. Frequently, half steps occur between a white key and a black key, or a black key and a white key, as in the case with C and C sharp, and G and F sharp. But there are two instances on our keyboards where half steps occur between two white keys. This happens between E and F, since there's no black key in between them, and between B and C, because there's no black key in between B and C. Half steps were neighboring keys, but whole steps skip a key. So C and D have one and only one key in between, C sharp. So this makes them a whole step apart. F to G is a whole step apart because there is one key in between F and G. Whole steps sound like this. It's easy to identify whole steps when you hear them if you think of the beginning of the major scale. That beginning interval is a whole step. Whole steps frequently go from a white key to a white key, as in C to D. You can also go from a black key to a black key, as in F sharp to G sharp. There's one note in between F sharp and G sharp, and that is G. Sometimes, whole steps are from a white key to a black key, and vice versa, as is the case between B and C sharp, where C is the in-between key. It's also helpful to be able to identify half steps and whole steps when looking at a piece of music. This piece of music begins with a jump from A to D. We won't deal with that, since that's neither a half step nor a whole step. But the next two notes are from a D to a C sharp. We know that it's a C sharp because we have noticed our key signature. So, we'll start at the piano. We know that it goes from this D to a C sharp. This sounds like. Since there are no keys in between this D and C sharp, we know that it's a half step. So we'll label it with a caret. The next note goes from the same C sharp to B. This sounds like. We see that there is a C natural in between C sharp and B, so we know that it's a whole step. The next note are from B, right here, to A, and this sounds like. We know that there's B flat in between B and A, so we know that this is another whole step. We can continue throughout the piece, looking at our keyboard and hearing the notes to identify half steps and whole steps. Starting from this D and going down to the A, we can hear half step, whole step, whole step. Looking at music and identifying half steps and whole steps can improve your skills as a musician.